I will call the meeting to order. And the first order of business is to have roll call. And if you will answer and verify that you can hear others. And I will begin. This is Ronald Crutcher, chairman of the board, and I can hear the others. Mr. Hughes?
This is Josh Hughes, and I'm able to hear everyone.
All right. Mr. Joe?
This is Kenneth Joe, and I can hear everyone clear.
Okay, Mr. Adams?
This is Glenn Adams, and I'm able to hear everyone.
And Mr. Lee?
This is John Lee, and I'm able to hear everyone.
Okay, we have full forum. First order of business to review the minutes of our last meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
let me go ahead and read the statement that we have to read because this is a electronic meeting, and then we can get to the minutes.
Okay.
If there is no objection from the Board of Adjustment and Appeals members and subject to Executive Order number 65, let the minutes reflect that the members have determined that it is necessary that this meeting be held electronically to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Are there any objections? Hearing none, let the minutes reflect that the board has made the determination to conduct this meeting electronically. I do want to remind everyone that each vote must be by roll call vote. The chairman will call your names, at which time you will provide your vote. Prior to making a motion or a second or asking a question or making a comment, please identify yourself. Mr. Chairman, you can go ahead and approve the minutes.
Okay, the minutes have been emailed to you. These are the minutes of our October the 22nd meeting. Are there any comments or questions concerning the meetings?
Mr. Chairman, this is Glenn Adams. Having looked the minutes over, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve them as submitted.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
This is John Lee. I second the motion.
Motion's been made, seconded. Are there any comments, discussions? If not, we will do a roll call vote. If you vote for the motion, you will vote to approve it. Getting a little ahead of it. Okay. Mr. Adams?
This is Glenn Adams, and I vote to approve the minutes.
Joe?
This is Kenneth Joe, and I vote to approve the minutes.
Mr. Lee?
This is John Lee, and I vote to approve the minutes.
Hughes?
This is Josh Hughes, and I vote to
This is Ronald Crutcher, and I vote to approve. The minutes are approved. Moving on to the agenda. I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Lead us through items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like the record reflect that adequate public notice was given to both the home builders and to the public. I do ask whether Mr. Tim Raynaud is on the line with us. Joe, do you know whether he will be attending the hearing?
No, sir. He was sent the links and everything else. So, but I have not talked to him.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do then is just go on and we'll hold his to the last one.
Very good.
Without objection, I submit that the appeals from Carbine Associates, Dries Premier Homes, Ryan Homes, and the Jones Company shall be combined and considered as a whole. Hearing no objections, we'll address the appeals together. The first argument that the appellants make is that they've obtained vested rights under the Vested Rights Act of 2014, though the lots at issue are not subject to the impact fee. The act provides that should a developer receive preliminary plat approval from the local authority, the development standards in place shall remain the same through the course of development. For vested rights to attach, the impact fee must be a development standard or development regulation, and therefore the impact fee would not be applicable to those developments that receive preliminary plat approval prior to the adoption of the impact fee. However, staff stands at the definition of development standards provided in the Vested Property Rights Act includes standards and regulations concerning the actual development of the property to include local stormwater requirements, local construction standards for buildings, streets, alleys, curbs, sidewalks, and lot sizes. These are all standards that concern the actual development of the property and has nothing to do with the ability of the county to raise revenue through the adoption of the impact fee. I do maintain that should the board find that the impact fee is a development regulation triggering vested property rights, we maintain that the applicant has provided no evidence that it received any approvals from the planning department or planning commission for the property at issue prior to adoption and implementation of the education impact fee. The appellant's second argument is that the impact fee is required to be calculated on each subdivision. The proceeds received from that particular subdivision is required to be used on educational capital projects for that specific development. The private act actually provides that it's intent of the act to grant the Williamson County legislative body the authority to establish a procedure or system to collect fees from developer on any new residential development. So it's required that developer to share in the burdens of growth by paying his pro rata share of the cost of public improvements generated by the new land development activity. Private act does not require the county commission to define specific zones to accommodate each subdivision. In fact, the private act grants the county's legislative body broad power to implement an impact fee system, which it did so with the adoption of this educational impact fee. I will ask you whether there's any of the home builders present on this call. Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, we ask for these appeals be denied for the reasons given. Mr. Chair, we ask for these appeals be denied.
Mr. Cook,
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Yeah, these are for the reasons I just provided. We ask for these appeals be denied. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Bobby.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. You have heard the staff position, and we are ready to take action on the staff's position, which is a recommendation that the appeal be denied.
Mr. Chairman, this is Glenn Adams, and I would like to go ahead and put forward a motion to deny the appeals.
Motion is from properly made. Do I hear a second?
Mr. Chairman, it's Kenneth Choate. I second the motion to deny the appeals.
Motion's been properly made, seconded. Any questions, comments before we vote? Hearing none, we will do a roll call vote. I will begin the and I will vote for the motion, which is to deny the appeals. Ms. Lee. John?
This is John Lee. I vote for the motion to deny.
Mr. Adams,
This is Glenn Adams, and I vote for the motion to deny.
Hughes,
This is Josh Hughes. I vote for the motion.
and Mr. Shaw.
This is Kenneth Choate, and I vote for the motion to deny.
The vote is unanimous to approve the motion, which is denied. Turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next appeals we have is from Mr. Tim Raynaud. He has appealed both the privilege taxes and the impact fee. We'll take these separately because they are two separate taxes. The first appeal that Mr. Raynaud makes to the board concerns the application and assessment of the education impact fee. The proposed location of this dwelling is 6692 Bethesda Arno Road, so it's in the unincorporated area of the county. Mr. Raynaud submitted an original submittal that included 4 bedrooms with this dwelling that's at the issue at this appeal. Based on location of the room on the second floor, staff determined that this was considered a bedroom, and for the purposes of the county regulation concerning on-site sewage disposal system, it did not comply with the requirements. To address this issue, the appellant was given the option to open the room up and remove the doors, or to maintain the room as unfinished and unconditioned room. The appellant chose the second option, now appeals a decision that the square footage of the space that is labeled unfinished and unair-conditioned attic should be included in the calculation of the education impact, should not be included. As such, the appeal before you is of the calculation of the square footage of this dwelling, because he argues that the inclusion of the space labeled unfinished and unconditioned in the calculation should not be included. The impact fee was calculated at 2,978 square feet, which includes the 308 feet of the expandable area. This is the bedroom that the appellant is making the appeal. The property was assessed at the 2,978 square feet, which equates to a fee of $11,046. The appellant asserts the total square foot should not include the 308 square feet because the space is unconditioned, unfinished attic. The county maintains that this room should not be excluded from the education impact fee calculation because the room can be finished, and the calculation of the education impact fee does not differentiate between the rooms that are finished and rooms that are not finished. It is important to note the staff does not maintain that the space is a bedroom, but only that it should be included in the square footage calculation based on the fact that it can be finished and air conditioned at a later date. The only question is whether this space should be included in the square footage for the purposes of calculating the education impact fee. Because there's no provision contained in the education impact fee resolution between unfinished and or air-conditioned space, this space can be finished, and the county asks that this appeal be denied for that reason. Is Mr. Raynaud on the line with us? Does not appear Mr. Raynaud is on the line with us, Mr. Chairman. For this reason, for the reasons provided, we ask for this appeal be denied.
You have heard the business that's before us with this individual dwelling. You heard staff's position. Are there any questions?
This is John Lee, and I guess a matter of protocol or whatever. I'm sure some of the other houses that we have come before this board for the educational impact fee had bonus rooms. Did they get included in, unfinished bonus rooms? Were they included in the calculations?
Yes, they should be included in the calculations. Joe could probably answer that a little bit better than I can, but under the actual terms of the education impact fee, those rooms are to be included.
Bobby, this is Joe Horn. Mark is on the line. I think Mark, since Mark's department's directly involved, I think he's probably best suited to speak to it. I think you're right, but I think Mark also has witnessed these many more times than any of the rest of us have.
Sure. Mark, would you care to answer the question?
He doesn't have a microphone.
Okay.
Lisa, would you care to answer that question?
He can hear, but he can't speak. We generally do include those unfinished areas in calculations. I'm in the office next to Mark. I'll get him to come and speak on my phone if that's acceptable to you.
Absolutely.
Lisa,
No, Mark's
you
in my
still really,
office now. Mr. Chairman, Mark McMillan just walked into my office. He's
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
this is Mark McMillan. I had to come over to Joe's office because I don't have a microphone. But to answer the question is, yes, these future expandable rooms that are listed as unfinished in all cases are assessed for the privilege tax and education impact fee.
okay. I've got a question specifically. You focused on the privilege tax, and does that include evaluation that you make to determine the size of the septic system?
Mr. Chairman, this is Mark McMillan, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, in answer to your question, as far as the septic system goes, their regulations pertaining to bedrooms is if it has a full bathroom on the same level as a room, they do consider it a bedroom. In this case, there is a full bath on the second level, and even though this room, by building code standards, would not necessarily meet the definition of a bedroom, the septic regulations are a little different, and that they do consider that it could be used as a bedroom.
Okay. Are there any other questions before we take it?
Mr. Crutcher, I have a question, please, for Lisa. Lisa, still on?
Yes, sir.
Lisa, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you said you guys generally include that in the impact or the privilege tax calculations. Do you ever make exceptions?
It depends. I mean, if it's a new single-family residence, it is included.
Okay,
If it's an addition or anything like that, it's not included.
okay. Thank you, Lisa. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but wanted clarification on that for us.
No problem. You're welcome.
No, I do have one question that's kind of along those same lines. I guess Lisa or Mark could answer it. I assume there's a lot of unconditioned attic space in a lot of single family homes that doesn't get counted. So I guess what my assumption is that there's certain criteria that unconditioned attic labeled space fall into the calculation. If it's on a contiguous floor level, has a certain head height that it can be occupiable. Clearly in this case it is. But if there's a small Unconditioned attic space, which has a door into it, but it looks to me like that would have a much lower head height and clearly could only be used for the floor.
Mr. Hughes, this is Mark McMillan, and yes, you know, attic spaces that are unconditioned will be counted because of the way they're designed. Like I say, an attic space that is unconditioned, that is truly an attic space, would not have the any light and ventilation or floor joist sizing or anything like that of that nature to be considered an attic space. In this case, the design of the house, the floor joists are designed to handle a floor load for living area. There are also 2 windows in this space. So it does clearly qualify as future expandable area.
Right, that's helpful.
Mr. Chairman, this is Glenn Adams. The comment that I might make is that when I look at this, I would consider what I would call eminently finishable. And this one is definitely eminently finishable, in my opinion.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to, on the staff's recommendation that this appeal for the education impact, we're only voting on the one, would take action on that motion, is to deny the education impact. Oh, yes. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Kenneth Field. I'd make a motion, we deny this request.
Mr. Chairman, this is Josh Hughes. I'll second that motion.
Motion's been properly made, seconded. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, we will take a roll call vote. We will begin with Mr. Hughes. Mr. Hughes.
This is Josh Hughes. I vote to deny.
Mr. Lee.
This is John Lee. I vote for the motion to deny the appeal.
Mr. Adams.
It's Glenn Adams, and I vote for the motion to deny.
This is Ronald Crutcher. I vote deny.
Mr. Crutcher, this is Kenneth Field. I vote for the motion to deny.
Okay, everyone has voted. Approve the motion, which is to deny. Mr. Cook.
The next appeal we have is by Mr. Reynard, concerns the inclusion of square footage in the unfinished area in calculating the adequate facility tax and adequate education facility tax. So 2 privilege taxes, but the wording is nearly identical for both. This is similar to his argument concerning the educational impact fee calculation. Mr. Reynard claims that because the space is labeled as unfinished and unconditioned attic, that it should not be included in calculating the adequate facility tax. These taxes are assessed on $1 per square foot. So what the applicant is appealing is the inclusion of that 308 square foot into the calculation for the privilege taxes. Unlike the education impact fee, the privilege taxes actually define what the floor area is. The acts provide that the floor area is defined as the total of the gross horizontal area of all floors, including basements, cellars, and attics, which is heated and air-conditioned living space or designed to be finished into heated and or air-conditioned living space at a future date. The fact that the original submittal included the space as finished and for the location of a bedroom similar to the other rooms on the second floor, we believe that the room is and can be finished at a later date. For these reasons, Mr. Chairman, we ask for this appeal be denied and that the 308 square foot calculation be included in the calculation of the privilege taxes. I'll ask if Mr. Reynard is on the line. Hearing none, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Glenn Adams, and I want to go ahead and make the motion that we deny based on the reasons given by Mr. Cook.
Mr. Chairman, this is Josh Hughes. I'll second that motion.
Motion probably made and seconded. Before we vote on it, I have one question, Mr. Cook, for clarification. I understood you to say that staff recommendation was that the square footage would be included in the calculation. Has the square footage been included in the fees and paid on the square footage really including?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, we will begin the vote. I will begin, this is Ross Crutcher, and I vote for the motion, which is to deny the, Mr. Hughes.
This is Josh Hughes. I vote for the motion to deny the appeal.
Joe,
This is Kenneth Choate. I vote for the motion to deny.
Mr. Lee,
This is John Lee. I vote for the motion to deny.
Mr. Adams,
This is Glenn Adams, and I vote for the motion to deny the appeal.
the votes are in and unanimous that this motion be approved. Any other business to come before this board, Mr. Cook or Mr. Horn?
Mr. Chairman, this is Joe Horn. We are scheduled to meet 2 weeks from today, which I believe is November 19th.
Mr. Cook, any business?
No, Mr. Chairman, that's all the appeals we have for you today.
All right. The business of this meeting has been concluded, and I will declare it adjourned.